Her head was starting to ache when the voices that had been drifting to her from the outer gallery began to register. "Yeah, man, we didn't mean for nothing bad to happen," said one male voice. "For real, we were gonna come by today and say sorry, even if Miss Sullivan hadn't made us," added another. Summer snorted a little laugh. That had to be Porden and one of his partners in crime. Jenny had been right. There were more powers behind that spell than one kid could have conjured. "That Miss Sullivan is one mean woman," said the first voice. Summer smiled. "Yep, Jenny had definitely known it." "Yeah, but she's so fine," said the second. She now recognized as her students and Porden's board, Blake MacArthur. She had Colin's deep voice answering them but couldn't quite make out what he was saying. She attempted to sit still for a minute more. Then curiosity killed discretion, and she walked quietly to the doorway of the office. "We thought we'd make up a little thing for ya," said Porden. "Like to make up for what we did," said MacArthur. "Okay, with you if we bust out with it." "Sounds fine with me," Colin said. This time, she could hear Colin's voice more clearly, and the good humor in his tone made her smile. Her feet seemed to move of their own accord as she continued walking soundlessly down the hall. After all, she'd been a victim of Porden's magical stunt. He should apologize to her too. Well, again, that is. Naturally, Jenny had made him grovel appropriately at school earlier that day. But still, more groveling never hurts. Plus, the other kid was here, too, this time. She crept slowly into the gallery until she came to the room that held the Romeo and Juliet painting, aka the scene of the crime. The two boys were standing in front of the painting with their back to her. Colin was facing them, so he could have spotted her, but his attention was focused with an amused lift of one of his dark brows on the boys as they started making the ridiculous rap noises that always reminded Summer of a mixture of farts and messed up engine sounds. As MacArthur did the sound effects, Puldon rapped their song. "We come to apologize about the other day. See, we didn't know you and Miss S would go away. We was just trying to get in some play. We're sorry we had ya dressed all gay, and then Miss S and you almost went all the way." Those brats. They did know Colin and I had been in the painting. At that point, there was a musical interlude in the rap, and both mouths farted and popped around looking silly and semi-charming at the same time. Summer had just decided she would be entertained enough and had started forward again when her eyes went to Colin, and she froze in place. He was watching the boys, laughing with the youthful joy of a man filled with light and promise, and Summer once again saw the happy, open man who had shared the painting and his passion with her. He was completely and utterly captivating. It was then that the question was whether she should risk getting entangled in a life of passion and darkness became moot. She was entangled with him already. Somehow, within this dark, brooding vampire, there lay a man she'd fantasized about and longed for all these years. It wasn't a question of fitting him into her future. Colin was her future. Summer must have made an involuntary sound because Colin's gaze instantly went from the boys to her. The smile didn't leave his face. On the contrary, when their eyes met, his joy seemed to blaze from him to her. "So, we be here to make Yester okay," rapped Porden. "Yeah, we got to give you something, 'cause Sullivan says we got to pay," intoned MacArthur. She was scared, and she's scary, even though I like to tap that play. The fart noises came to a crescendo. Then Porden went into the closing line of the rap. "We thought about what we could do that would stay. and come up with a magic spell to melt our dyspnea away. Magic spell? Those words broke through the smoldering look she was sharing with Colin. At the same time, she noticed that a little shiver going up and down her spine wasn't just because she was hot for the vampire. The rap was really a spell the boys were casting. Then 4 things happened simultaneously. Summer opened her mouth to scream at the kids to stop. Colin moved towards her with an inhuman speed that blurred his body. Gordon finished the rap and spell with the line, "Dude, we give you a future bright as the sun's ray." And as the vampire's body slammed into Summer, she realized the magic catastrophe was unavoidable. So she closed her eyes and braced herself, sending out one concentrated desire. This will not mess up Colin and me. Then the area around her exploded with light. When Summer opened her eyes, she was in a strange bed, in a room she didn't recognize. It was nice. She noticed that right away. Actually, it was freakishly like her dream home. Huge, antique iron bed, piled with rich linens in soft blues and yellows. The furniture was simply carved oak, well made and expensive, but not fussy. The floor was glossy pine wood, dotted here and there with thick butter-colored area rug. The walls told her she was in a log cabin, a damn big one at that. There was a fireplace along one wall. The other held several incredible original watercolor paintings of landscapes that all had one thing in common. They were bright and beautiful, and painted in the full flush of summer day. Then her eyes caught something on top of the long, low dresser. Was that her jewelry box? She climbed down from the mountain of a bed and realized 2 things. 1. She was wearing her favorite style of pajamas, men's boxer shorts, and a little matching tank top. 2. It was indeed her jewelry box, sitting on top of the dresser. Actually, as she looked around the room more carefully, she saw that the jewelry box was just one of the several items that belonged to her. Over the ornate, belaved mirror hung one of her favorite scarves. The Cressley Cole book she'd been reading was on the nightstand beside the bed, as was her favorite honeydew-scented candle. Feeling surreal and very Twilight Zone-ish, she opened the top drawer of the nearest dresser and, sure enough, inside was a neat row of her bras and panties. What the hell is going on? She cried, and then wondered how she could have been stupid enough to forget. Memory flashed back to her, and she recalled the 2 boys and their rap that had become a spell, and terrible light that exploded just as Colin had grabbed her. Light? Colin? Light, Colin. The 2 definitely didn't mix. Where was she, and where was Colin? Summer hurried to the window and peeked out. The sun was settling into the mountains, painting a lovely landscape around the cabin in hues of evening. She was definitely in a cabin, out in the woods, but it wasn't her sister's cabin. She tried to calm her freaked-out mind. I have to think. This kid's spell finished with something about Colin having a bright future. Goddess, did that mean he was trapped in the dark somewhere? And if so, why was she here in this pretty cabin? It didn't make one bit of sense. Okay, you were a college graduate. You can figure this out, she told herself. This room looks like it could belong to you, so... With sudden inspirations, Summer went back to the bedside table, and sure enough, plugged into the charger just as it was in her bedroom. In her sister's cabin was Summer's cell phone. She grabbed it and dialed the first number that came to mind. Summer, where are you? Are you okay? Jenny's voice was uncharacteristically frantic. I'm fine. I think I don't know where the hell I am. Where's Colin? Is he okay? Other than having lost his damn mind worrying about you, your vamp's fine. And what do you mean you don't know where you are? What do you mean he's lost his mind? Summer and Jenny spoke their questions together. I can't tell, Summer began. He freed completely, Jenny said. Both women paused. You start, Jenny said. Why don't you know where you are? 'Cause I've never been here before. I'm at a gorgeous cabin and, weirdly enough, it's not just decorated exactly how I would have decorated it, but a bunch of my stuff's here. Now tell me, what's up with Colin? There was some unintelligible noises in the background, and then Jenny said, I'll do better than that.